It won't. That's the whole point. Well, I don't know how to sell. Well, I got to teach you how to sell. And that's where I'm turning to innovation games moving forward, because what happened here, if you'll remember, we had the infrastructure guys in the room, and they were ultimately hugely proud, and should be, of their implementation. Instead of $1 million of CapEx, it's $50,000 of OpEx to set up a dev environment. And instead of getting 18 to 24 months to bring a product to the network, 3 to 6. That's huge. But no one in the application organization knew about it. Because why? Why would I listen to the infrastructure guys and what they're trying to do? So we brought Luke into the room, and it was a really funny dynamic because the infrastructure guys kept going, we've got a platform that will do this, and they were describing it all, and the infrastructure guys sit there checking watch going, why am I here? And finally Luke goes, Bill, what are you looking for? And the guy explained this, what he really would, an ideal world would be. And Aaron, the infrastructure guy, goes, that's what I've been saying. And Bill's like, you have? Yes, that's what I have. You're kidding me. No. That's the coolest thing in the world. We got to go. And we went from doing this one little private infrastructure kind of thing to they want to re-platform their entire network on us. And they're going to bring their application developers in, and they're going to bring in their outside parties, their ISVs to work on this. This is tremendous opportunity just because two guys decided to actually listen to each other, which is really extraordinarily powerful. So the recommendations, we came to clarify design goals, defined a full life cycle. We conducted a whole product analysis, and we developed a clear picture of the infrastructure and services. But I think we did far more than that. And it's funny because I'll talk to Aaron, the guy who hosted and sponsored us. He's like, he tells his account team at least twice a month how much that innovation game session changed his way of thinking, changed his way of viewing the world. And it also changed the way Cisco worked with us, because we used to be a distant number 2 to Cisco at this company, and now we're the belle of the ball, which is really cool. So this leads to I'm kind of like Luke. I just never can stop. It's like I think eventually I want to figure out how to solve world hunger just like Luke does. And so we came up with this concept of agility at business scale. And I was at the Agile Executive Forum in Dallas back in August. And I heard every last VP stand up and say, enterprise agility to me means getting outside of development and getting the rest of the organization to start adopting agile methodologies. Because if at the end of the day all I've done is made development more agile, I've really only optimized 20% of the total value chain, and what's worse is I've put us out of sync with the rest of the business. I've got a different heartbeat. So we came up with this agility at business scale. You know what marketing really is it's just puppeting back to people what they're telling you they want. I mean, that's a cynical way of doing it, but that's how you read the market, is you listen to what people are doing. And the idea here is, and it's pardon the NetApp pitch, it's really hard to tell this story without pitching, so don't feel like I'm trying to pitch NetApp the whole time. But what you can do now is this whole idea of how do I make development, sales, delivery, and marketing work more closely together. And the story I'm telling in the marketplace is, if I can improve your productivity and time to market from a development perspective, which is really what accelerated DevOps is, sales is going to grow. So how do we improve this? ING Direct is a bank down in, it's a subsidiary of ING. It's in Australia. They have a bank in a box, which is they're a virtual online bank. And that's it. Used to take them 12 weeks to bring a new version of the bank up for the development team, and they only had 3 copies for 98 developers. Anyone want to guess how long it takes them to provision now with NetApp? 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And anyone want to guess how many of those development environments those 98 developers have?
98?
More. 450. Sales will grow. Thomson Reuters worked with us, and I'm continuing to work with Thomson Reuters. They introduced Westlaw Next, which was a new platform for doing Google-like searches for legal precedence research. Everyone read Harry Potter, the third one? Anyone would admit, besides me? Okay, Hermione Granger could have used Westlaw Next when she was trying to prove that the hippogriff was not a threat, right? So you establish a research precedence. They were losing in the marketplace. And with this offering and their speed to market gains, they onboarded 6,000 new customers in the first year. They outgrew their adoption forecast by 150%. 7 Corners shrunk the time it took to bring new offerings to market from 2 years down to 2 months on an agile data infrastructure. Their summer months, and this is the last I heard from when it was August, 3 consecutive revenue-breaking months for the company. So huge growth will occur. That's going to require your infrastructure guys to become more operationally excellent, to be more in tune with this development environment. So I was talking to Clayton Companies. Clayton Companies, and I love this, they're a vertically integrated cement manufacturer in New Jersey. I can't make this up, right? I mean, that's a perfect location for a maker of cement.
Dual usages.
Many usages. So I said, he was a big fan. I said, what's the coolest thing you've ever done? He goes, well, we were literally, because we migrated from a 1980s DOS-based ERP system to Lawson last year. We did it in a year, and we came in under budget. I said, how'd you do that? He goes, developing in the morning, testing at lunch, releasing into production in the afternoon. Now, I knew how he was doing this, but I said, isn't that kind of risky? And he goes, no, you don't understand your own value proposition. That's what, he named a product, it's called Snap Restores 4. If something goes wrong, I just roll back to the previous iteration, and everyone goes on business as usual. And I'm like, that's awesome. I said, what else are you doing? He says, well, we spin out clones, and we use the same technology for clones to do business analysis. And I'm like, and I blurted it out. I'm like, you guys are in wet cement. What are business analysis guys doing? He goes, wet cement has a 45-minute shelf life. It makes bananas look like Twinkies from a supply chain perspective. So our top 2 drivers of profitability are the price of gasoline and traffic flow patterns in the state of New Jersey. So we're looking at our production database and correlating that with weather information, GPS information off the truck, to determine how do we optimize our distribution network for deals that are coming due 12, 18, 24 months from now. I'm like, that's cool. And then we come back, so now if you can provide better data back to marketing to make better decisions, the last linkage is how do you provide better guidance back to development on what to develop, right? So I was talking to I mentioned where Luke did the innovation games, this telco company, and they've now agreed to be a referenceable customer, but that hasn't gone through legal yet. And he said, I'm fundamentally transforming the calculus of portfolio management because in the past, it was $1 million CapEx, 18 months to bring it to the market. It's now, but now look at the executives, the portfolio executives' point of view. In the past, I'm placing $1 million bets and praying over the next 18 months that I'm bringing the right product to the right market at the right time. This is a problem all of us have, right? In my new world, where everyone's working more tightly together, I can place 20 bets for the price of one, and in a fraction of the time have real information that determines whether I'm going to be successful or whether I've got a dud. And I can take that real factual data back to the development team and say, stop working on that stuff and focus on this. I have real data. I'm not betting, I'm not guessing, here's the data. And they become more productive in time to market and it goes around faster. Now here's the challenge. I sell storage, right? I talk to storage administrators and I talk to VPs of IT, infrastructure. And the challenge I've got, because I think the solution is these Agile Discovery workshops that Luke has helped us pioneer and develop. How do I position them? Because remember, I was going to ask a question. How do we position these workshops for agility at business scale? But before I do that, is there any questions out of the room? And what you were, yes?
When you were telling the first story about the group of Colorado and the bonding, et cetera, that was because of the game itself? Versus the riding of the horses and the beautiful days?
I would say 99% of it was because of the games. And the reason why I say that is immediately after the games were over, the entire dynamic of the group was changed. And you could feel it, and you could see it, and you could watch it in their interactions. And all those activities, like going to the brewery, and we went pool, and we went horseback riding, was just cementing that relationship.
I bet there were 1,000 sidebar conversations after games and all these other events.
Exactly.
This guy got rid of this NetApp guy, da-da-da-da.
Exactly.
The only thing I'll add to that,
That ultimately then might be netted on out to, which Luke and I neither one do very good at, which is give it a name, all right? But that's why I asked the question, is if those are the three things that you think generically you can bring to a client, then what we need to try and do is work on, so.
From the way I've described things, did I miss any?
So let me comment on that too, because, and then the thing the executive says, and why is a storage company coming and talking to me about these things? Because, I go to McKinsey for that.
Right, yeah. Well, I think one of the things that is, the connection doesn't always get built.
Yeah.
Well, the reality of today is, I don't care who you are, technology drives where your growth is going to go. You might have some fantastic idea, you still might have to manufacture it. Then you got to figure out the logistics problem to it. I've got, the bigger I get, the more, 0 to 1 billion, 1 billion to 3 billion to 5 billion. I've got to figure out how to evolve the business to be able to get there. So the larger organizations you're going to deal with are trying to figure out, how do I make this work? Well, unfortunately, we still work in stovepipes. You go across the lines of stovepipes, all right, because you're going to bring those groups together. That's one of the things that you do.
Yep.
And I think that one of the things that we at least see is that the stovepipe that Paul's earlier, was there was a DMC stovepipe and a system.
Okay, okay.
So to the extent that we can communicate to our clients that we are helping them break down those barriers between those stovepipes that they deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
Being different from another vendor to be, our value proposition is we make
Okay.
ubiquitous data access assets that seamlessly fit into business value portfolios.
Okay.
Instead of saying, we do storage.
how are you guys commissioned or paid, or do they get, for example, if they're in the big account, do they get commission for anything that is sold to the account, or to sell it every time, or?
Anything that's sold into that account. And what's actually really kind of unique about us is that if Salesforce.com were to source their solution on NetApp for, let's just say, the customer, John Deere, the John Deere NetApp account team would get credit for that.
And they also get commission when partners sell into the account.
Oh, really?
So,
Well,
you
yes.
have a great opportunity to create shared purpose, which is what he was talking about before the bond. Shared purpose with all of those guys that you mentioned. Because that's going to be my staff and the sales guys. Those are going to be the guys who are selling for me. And I'm going to walk in to close the sale, obviously, but they're my champions. That comes from creating some kind of shared purpose at some point that carries forward after that.
I have a comment on what he said. For me, I tend to work across functions, and Agile was something new for me when I started working with Luke 2 years ago. I'm a strategy facilitator, so I'm kind of used to working across organizations and looking for the customer on in.
You need her.
No. He's doing it. But when I hear Agile now, I think software development.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who have Agile in their organization think.
Software development.
I thought it was a verb, not a process.
Yeah.
Right.
So what, and I find this in a lot of, design thinking, that's designers, So one of the things that I liked about what he just said, even though it's pretty generic, is this is a workshop about shared purpose. I don't know if that belongs in your name, but we all kind of know that we do a really good job and the next person doesn't. So, or we do a very good job and the next person makes unreasonable demands on us. And
Well, you hear that as a theme out of me,
I
right?
wouldn't even tell them how you're going to do it. I'd say, let's just take an hour.
Yeah, I have definitely moved away from telling people how I'm going to do it.
So your question was, if we were executive and somebody wanted to pitch innovation games to us, what would appeal to, like, for me as an executive?
Yes.
Okay, and I am. I'm president of a software company. But I may be an outlier here, I will just say. A background and degrees in theater.
Awesome.
And so you would just say to me, remember what it's like when you're rehearsing a play. Remember how you make up, you use creativity and collaboration for discovery. And you always find new things in the script, new things about your character by playing and by pretending and by moving and getting out of your box. Do you remember what that's like? We can bring those same processes and thought patterns to the business world and get the same kind of discoveries as human. Because the one thing I'm seeing, now that, like I said, maybe doesn't work.
That's an outlier. But the point is, know who you're talking to and know your audience.
Right, because you can easily sell it to me. Matter of fact, to me, this is instinctive, and I'm only learning here that it's revolutionary or that would be difficult. I mean, it's like, why would you do another way? Obviously, this makes sense. I mean, duh. But I guess, like, the one thing I noticed here, though, is these all seem to be intellectual arguments. And you would think we'd want to appeal to their
Emotional.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's outstanding.
Put emotion into it, something.
Yeah. That's outstanding. But, yes.
So, Paul, I sort of changed my opinion about what I was going to say just a second ago. I agree that you have to appeal to your audience. But one thing, you know, the words like alignment and shared purpose, I think those are all really good. But I think leading with that is not going to be something that someone who doesn't want to be aligned or likes being in their silos is going to be attuned to. Because
Right.
people are, this is my world, I don't need to deal with anything else. And you know, I face that constantly. But what I do think would, depending on your audience, is accelerator, because you're trying to do things faster. And one thing that you said in your talk was, you know, we reduced this by 100 days, we cut this cycle by whatever. And, you know, productivity and time to market, those are pretty important words to bring up today. So I think that would get someone's attention, is like, do you want to get this done in 5 hours, or do you want to spend the next 5 months doing this?
Yes.
Yeah, or you could, we could say, do you want to make new discoveries faster than your competition? We'll give you a tool so you could discover stuff before they do.
You know, so what's really interesting about this is that one of the things I hear is an objection. I mentioned snapshots that are, you know, we can clone an Oracle 8 terabyte database in 108 seconds and take 2 megabytes of space. And the guy's like, yeah, but the processes I have in place take 11 weeks to set that up. And I said, flip that on its head. Those processes aren't immutable. Those processes exist because it takes a day and another 8 terabytes, maybe even 12 or 16 terabytes to create that copy. So change the process, because you create processes for things that are painful to do, to create those gates of, are you really sure you want to do this? Are you absolutely positive? Are you really sure? Are you sure you're sure? And if it's not that hard to do, okay, yeah, here you go, done.
So it's interesting because, you know, there's different classes of customers. I see customers out there that don't want to change how they're doing anything, but they want to do Agile because it's in. So that's fine. So, I mean, I see this all the time. So the issue that I